Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the New York Market Color section. So good to have each and everyone you around for the New York Market Color session. I'd like to crave our indulgence, kindly share the link to this Market Color session with everyone on our social media platforms so that this can get to as many people as possible. I will be analyzing the XY, GDP, USD, and USD right after that. Lincoln will be coming up for his own analysis on gold. Right. Giving 30 seconds for us. Kindly share the link with everyone on our various socials, and then we will be heading straight to the chat for today's analysis. All right, starting with the XY on the monthly time frame, nothing has really changed. We saw some bullish move, and then we saw a sweep of this liquidity residing below here at 100 spot 232. Right, and on the weekly time frame too, stock price tapping into this very other block, right? And then we saw this sell to the downside. I can actually spot a box pattern for a continuation of this sell on the weekly time frame. We have the shoulder right here, sweep to the upside, break to the downside. We want to see price retracing into the shoulder, coinciding with this very other block at 107 spot 429. Right. This is long term, of course. It won't take place over a short period of time. We're actually looking at the weekly time frame and not the lower time frames. On the daily time frame, what am I looking out for the XY to do? The overall direction is actually to the downside, a downtrend, of course, and we always want to sell in a downtrend. So I'd wait for price to retrace into this very other block at 102 spot 999. Once price retraces into this level, I will be slamming the dollar all the way to the downside, taking short positions. And on the 4-hour time frame, pretty much the same thing. I want to see price retracing into either of these points of interest. This fair value gap right here at 101.514 or further into 102.191. Right. So these are various points of interest at which I want to see a retracement of the XY. And on the 15 minutes time frame, pretty much a box pattern entry for a buy, saying that we're looking for a buy to sell and we actually want to catch buy opportunities. This is just a retracement, of course, but we want to catch those opportunities. And seeing that price has printed one for us, the box pattern shoulder right here, flip to the downside, break to the upside. You want to see price retracing and returning into this very left shoulder at 99.340 on the 15 minutes time frame. Please kindly take note of these various points of interest that we are calling out right here for the market follow session. We had this analysis, this is just a recap, and price hasn't really fulfilled what we want to see it fulfilling before taking positions in the market. But this is my outlook for today and even into next week. Price should be straight into this very level and then gain strength of that point to buy all the way to the upside. Again, the buy is just a short-term buy. Down to GBP USD. Monthly time frame, nothing has really changed. We're seeing direction to the downside, right? Price did as if it was coming to clear out this high right here. The high at once for 34055, but there's a bit of a struggle of that level, and we're not seeing much reaction to the upside. Even on the weekly time frame, price just tapped into this very high, right? And we're seeing some reaction of it. We've not seen price breaking above this very high. It may happen eventually, but what we are seeing right now is price sitting at this very high at once for 34004. And on the daily time frame rather, of course we spoke about the box pattern failure, how price was meant to react and tell us the way how price was meant to react and tell of this very left shoulder, but it did react a bit, and then we saw this very momentous push to the upside, signifying that there has been a box pattern failure. And so price should take out this high, but instead it just traded into it, and we're seeing some reaction of that level, right? Price just price is sitting at this very high, and we want to see price taking it out, but instead we're just seeing a reaction of that resistance level. And on the 4 hour time frame, on the 4 hour time frame, seeing that I am looking out to buy at discount, and price hasn't taken out that higher yet on a much higher time frames. I'd wait for price to retrace into this very level, this left shoulder right here at 1428816. And of course, I'm waiting for a retracement into this level because I want to take buy opportunities, and I always want to buy at discount. Shoulder, left shoulder right here, sweep to the downside, break to the upside, price should retrace into one spot 28816 on the 4 hour time frame. I'm saying that I'm looking for sell opportunities to catch the retracement to the very left shoulder on the 4 hour time frame. Narrowing down to the 15-minute time frame, I will be looking for entry position. Right here, I can actually see the box pattern strategy. Shoulder right here, sweep to the upside, break to the downside. Price should retrace when it gets to, price should react rather when it gets to one spot 33324. You can actually place your pending orders so that once price trades into these various points of interest, it can just trigger your trade, and you make some substantial amount from the market. And last on my list being Euro USD. Monthly time frame, Euro USD, we're seeing some push to the downside. Of course, there have been a clear of this liquidity residing one spot 11936, and on the weekly time frame, price has cleared this high right here all the way to the upside down to the daily time frame. Of course, there's the box pattern failure, shoulder sweep, break. Price was supposed to react when it traded into one spot 11476, but instead we are just seeing more breaks to the upside. On the 4 hour time frame, pretty much we want to see price retracing into this very fair value gap at one spot 11380. Of course, these are various points of interest that we want to see price reacting off from. That should retrace into one spot 11380, and continue its buy off that level. And seeing that price should retrace into some discount level before taking the buy on Euro USD. Where do I want to take sell opportunities from? Seeing that we want to sell to buy, sell into our various points of interest, which is one spot 11380. I will be looking out for opportunities to take the short term sale. And of course, this is the opportunity, right? Shoulder right here, sweep to the upside, break to the downside. Price should retrace into one spot 13800. Beg your pardon for that error. Right. We want to see price returning into this left shoulder at one spot 13800. Right. We have come to the end of my own session of the market color. Please, if you have questions at this point, feel free to type in the chat box, and we will be looking at your questions. And if you have a different bias, totally different bias from what has been analyzed so far, feel free to also type in the chat box, and we will be looking at what you're seeing together. While you're still doing that, registration for the FX Bootcamp training is still ongoing. Practice starts on Monday, the 28th of April, 2025 through Friday. You can chat us up on 081 6099 5030 to reserve your slot, as the box strategy is just one of the plethora of strategies we have here. Please, if you have questions, you can type in the chat box. If there are no questions, we're going on a very brief break, and right after that, Lakon will be coming up for his analysis on gold and yen basket. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.
Afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Market Color brought to you by the Value Flow Trading Team. So this afternoon, we are just going to be having a very quick recap of what has happened in the market just between the London session and now. Just as you can see on the chart, if you look at the precious metal, right from our analysis this morning, we are expecting today being a bearish day, and since Tuesday, we've been seeing the bearishness in the market. However, we see the box pattern formed out somewhere here, and price came back to that particular level, of which we're expecting more retracement first into the split zone, then into the second POI, just as we have here, before the continuation of the buy to the upside. So that is for the precious metal. But this morning, we've been looking out on, particularly on the 15-minute time frame, to see if we are going to get any entry for the sell, but rather we've not seen any entry signature. Yes, the only entry signature that was found was somewhere around this place. We can see how that price has just been stocking since morning in a range. So you don't want to find yourself in this kind of market where everything looks so much choppy. And today being Friday, the market generally has been a bit quiet. That is knowing fully well that today is the last trading day for the week, and the only session left now is just the New York session. Then we can round off the market for the week. But looking at this moving forward, what we still expect for the precious metal is that it should trade into first our first POI here, then the second one, and we have the continuation of the buy. All right. So that is for the precious metal. And if you trade the lower time frame, like let's say the 5 minutes or so, you should have seen your entry maybe on 5 minutes, but even on the 5 minutes, you can see it's been a consolidation phase for a very long time. You just see some wipe out few minutes ago now. All right, so you don't want to take such trade. Just stay put and see what will come of the market. A quick one to Japan to see what exactly is going on in Japan too. If you look at the yen basket today, to just as I said this morning, we expect it to pull a little bit back, and this is where our POI is still on the daily time frame. So today being Friday, yes, high probability price just stop within this level, and into next week, Monday into Tuesday, you may see the pullback proper. Then continuation of the rally where exactly is the rally coming to is for it to come and clear this eye, that's the eye, then you can push forward from there. And knowing fully well that if you are familiar with backtesting your chart with old patterns, you are going to observe April, May is the time where we tend to see some shift in the market again, ending of April into first or second week of May. So let's wait and see what happens next week into the first week of May before we see what goes on again. So if this is what we are seeing on the yen basket, that we're expecting to push a little bit down. And I said this morning that it won't just collapse down. Yes, high probability, particularly on the 1 hour time frame, since we've seen the sell-off on Tuesday till date. So we expect some level of push to the upside for the yen basket before the continuation on Tuesday. But instead, all we are seeing is it's just been in a consolidation. You'll see that much more clearly on 15-minute time frame. Look at since morning, price has just been in a range. And if you look at it from if you look at the correlating side of it, GJ, imagine a trade since morning, price has just been sitting inside of that level, came very close to stop loss and is just dancing inside of it. All right. So a day like this is also very necessary. It comes once in a while in the market where you just cross your hands and watch what plays out of the market. And for GJ, if this setup is being violated, then that means price is still coming to the general view that we have here, meaning it's coming all the way into this daily order block here. But because of this flip zone that we have here, that is what gave us the pre-information of the market execution for this morning on GG. But in the other hand, if you look at this same outlook on the Euro JPY, it's so amazing how that Euro JPY have a similar view, but it doesn't also give any entry since morning. Now, if you look at Euro JPY from this standpoint, you are going to observe that since we have price break to the downside here, we've been expecting it to come back up. And you see that much more clearly on your 4 hour time frame. Now, for the 4 hour time frame, EUR/JPY has been very long time consolidation since last month. All right, and this is also telling us that every of the JPY pairs are still relaxing just to see what exactly the yen basket wants to do. And right now, if you look at EUR/JPY on the lower time frame, we are going to observe that it has not given any entry even for the short. So the market has been a very consolidation since morning. It's been in consolidation since morning, and there's no any move. No, this is the kind of market that you call no show, no performance. So there's nothing going on in the market. Everywhere is just quiet since morning. We experience this. It's part of the game, and you must also learn that as a trader too. So when this is happening, just watch and see what's become of the market. All right. And lastly, before we call it a day, if you look at AUDJPY, we are going to observe the funniest part of it is AUDJPY is the only one that gives more like an entry that, okay, it moves a bit this morning, but we did not pay much attention to it. Instead, we were looking at GBP, JPY, and AUDJPY. Now, AUDJPY gave its first entry here earlier today around during the London market color session. This is first entry, gave another second entry, gave third entry again, and it keeps giving re-entry. But right now, market has just pulled a bit to the downside and is also entering its own consolidation what I'm going to advise is you can drop in the chat box and drop your question in the chat box, and we can quickly look into it together. All right, since there is no question, this is going to be the end of the market color brought to you by the Value Flow Trading team. Make sure you trade cautiously till we meet again on Monday by 8:30 a.m. Use your weekend to backtest and study more about the charts till we meet again by 8:30 a.m. on Friday. And take care. Cheers and God bless.